I'm going to show you today another way to solve a multiplication number sentence, but this time using what we know about factors. So we want to think about factor bugs today. So, for example, I have the problem 3 times 16. Now I'm looking at that, and that straight away is quite tricky. So I'm going to put the factor bug legs here, and I'm going to come up with two numbers that might make it easier for me to multiply against the 3 with, to make this sum seem a bit easier. So I know 16. When I go to my multiplication tables, I can look up and find out what sort of numbers are the factors of 16. Well, I know that 2 and 8 are factors. And one of the important things about this method is if you can get a 2, that is really good, or a 5 or a 10. So to explain this further to you, so I'm going to put these factor bug legs on the number 16. So now I've got 3, 8 and 2. 2 8s are 16. So if I rewrite it, I've got 3 times 8 times 2. Now, I've rewritten it. I can do 3 8s now, because 3 8s are in my multiplication table, and I know my 3 times tables. I know that 3 8s are 24. So I'm going to change this number here now to be 24. And I'm going to bring down this number here times 2. So this number sentence here is exactly the same as this number sentence, but it's just written in a different way. I've managed to break up the 16 into 8 and 2. I've focused on my 3 8s and turned it into a 24. And I've brought down my 2. So even though this number sentence and this number sentence look completely different, in fact they are the same. Now I can solve this a bit easier because my 2 times tables is a little bit easier. So I know that 2 4s are 8 and 2 2s are 4. So I know my answer is 48 for this particular question. So taking into effect, what are my, if this is a factor bug, what are my 2 factors that will go into this number that will make it easier? And this is a much easier number sentence. So let's have a look at another one. Let's rip off this. Let's try this. Let's say we've got 4 times 15. So again, quite tricky. We have all our multiplication tables usually just go up to 12. And we know those off by heart. Some of you might even learn times tables that are actually beyond 12, but most of us don't. So let's do a factor bug legs for 15, and I'm going to do 5 3s because I know 5 3s are 15. And if you remember what I said before, it's really good to find factors that are 2, 5 and 10 from a number because they're good, easy things to multiply with. So I've got 4, 5 and 3. I'm going to rewrite this again. 4 times 5 times 3. So this number sentence actually matches this one. I have just written it completely differently. Now I'm going to focus on these two numbers because I think 4 5s, I know it's going to be 20. It's a 0 number. It's working for me. That's a really good number. So let's write that again. 4 5s are 20. So that's come down here. And we need the 3 to come down here. Now, straight away, this is a number sentence which is much easier for me to use. And this number sentence is the same as this one, but it's written differently. I've just rearranged the numbers. And working with 20 is much easier than working with a 15. So let's do, what are 3 20s? Well, I know 3 20s are 60. So suddenly, by factorising my 15 and making it into 2 different numbers that are much easier to work with, I can turn my number sentence into something that is easier than what it originally was. So 20 times 3 is 60. Let's do one more. A little bit trickier. 6 times 25. Let's have a look at 6 times 25. Now, let's have a look at our factor bug for 6 times 25. I'm going to go with the factor bug tail, in fact. So I'm going to keep it as legs only because I do want to break it up, but I know that 5 5s are 25. So let's rewrite that again. 5 5s are 25. So let's write the 6 times 5 times 5. So again, I'm going to focus on this number here. So again, this number sentence does match this one. It looks different, but it's the same. But 6 5s are 30. I know that. So here's my 30, and I'm going to bring down my 5. And now this is again much easier, a much easier number sentence than this one. So I've got 30 times 5, and I know that 5 3s are 15. So I know my answer is 150 because I know 5 3s are 15, and I bring down my 0. Just like if it was a 10 times tables. If it was 10 5s, I'd make it 50 because 5 1s are 5 and bring down the 0. But this is 3, so 30 times 5 is 3 5s are 15. So this is 150. So I'm hoping that you can see that. Replay this if you need to be shown it again. Some of you will find this too tricky. If you find it too tricky, I want you to go back to Monday's work and do repeated addition or the split method for multiplication for these numbers. But if you can do this method, that would be brilliant because it's another way that we can think about how to solve problems. So it's another strategy. So good luck with that. Hope you can do it.